Hey everyone, how's it going? Azrin here, owner of the Calgary Language Nerds, and welcome to today's Learn Gujarati with Me podcast episode and YouTube video. Today we're going to talk about a grammar point, which is the imperfect past tense. Now, on this YouTube channel already, we have talked about this grammar point, but today we're going to focus more on practice, and I want to get a little bit deeper into the theory. So the imperfect past tense is one of two primary past tenses in Gujarati. One past tense is called simple past. This one is called imperfect past. I'll share my screen in a second and walk you through a couple things. But the simple past is very simple. It's a simple past tense. It's things that happened once in the past. I went to my friend's house. Happened one time. I walked to the store yesterday. Happened one time. I ate some chocolate cake at 6 p.m. Happened one time. These are all things that happen one time. Now, the imperfect past tense, that's not how that works. The imperfect past tense, it either happened a whole bunch of times, like repeatedly on a loop, or it was something that was ongoing. I'll give an example. Like, I was eating chocolate cake. Think about that sentence. I was eating chocolate cake. It's almost more general. We don't know what time, we don't know what day, we don't know for how long. It's very general, it's ongoing. You can picture someone eating chocolate cake versus I ate chocolate cake. Imagine that. You can almost picture someone who ate it. They finished it. It's done. It took them 10 minutes. They ate it. Finished. Finito. Done. Right? But I was eating chocolate cake is much more ongoing. Right? So that imperfect past tense, one of the markers of that tense is ongoing actions. Think of it in English, if we really boil it down and make it very easy for you, which is what I want. I want this to be as easy for you as possible. Think of it like was doing. I was doing. I was walking. I was eating. I was drinking. I was swimming. I was jumping. These was-ing, was jumping, was writing, was studying, was eating, was all those wases and wers, you were jumping, for example. These are all examples of that imperfect past tense. So imperfect past tense, these are ongoing things. I was eating. Simple past, it's like happened once. I ate, I did, I went, one-time things. Okay. If you ever want to get a really deep look at the imperfect past tense versus simple past tense, these tenses exist in widely learned languages. So if you search this in French or if you search this in Spanish, you will actually get very detailed, not instructions, very detailed explanations of these two concepts as a whole. So if you want to hear someone explain it in different words than mine, because there's lovely tricks by all sorts of people who explain it very well too, you're more than welcome to YouTube it and search around for French and Spanish resources, and you're going to find people who explain these concepts. Okay, let's have a look here. Let's share my screen. Let's have a look at how the conjugation rules work, and we'll do some practice with it. Now, it is worth mentioning that my YouTube channel and this podcast, it's meant to be followed in order. So if you haven't watched the other 54 lessons or 53, whatever number we're on, if you haven't watched pretty much in order and you haven't gone from lesson one to now, this might be kind of tricky for you. This is a little bit more of a complicated concept. So just as a bit of a heads up. So for subject pronouns, we have hu, something to hato, or something ti hati. Tu is the same thing, right? Like tu chal to hato, tu chal ti hati, right? Tame is ta hata. He and she, we have three options. To hato, ti hati, ta hata. So you're going to notice something. When you look at this table here, right? It's going to look a little confusing. That's first and foremost. So I understand that. But you're going to notice something, right? You're going to notice that there's really only three choices. To hato, ti hati, or ta hata. Chalto hato, chalti hati, or chalta hata. There's three options. And so this is one of the tenses. There's a few tenses like this in Gujarati, actually, where it doesn't matter who is the person who is doing, it doesn't matter how do I say this? In the present tense, if you're watching this video, hopefully you should have some grasp of the present tense if you're already in this lesson here. In the present tense, verb conjugations depend on the person, depends on the person. So who has a set of conjugation rules. Tu has a set of conjugation rules. Tame has a set of conjugation rules. In the imperfect past tense, that's not how that works. All that we care about is the gender of the person. So if it's who, I'm a man. So I'm going to use male conjugations. Hu chal to hato. If I were a woman, I would never say hu chal to hato. I would say hu chal ti hati. Ti hati. Hu chal ti hati if I were a woman. If I was talking to you, you were walking. Tu chal to hato if you were a male. Tu chalti hati if you were a female. Tame is only one option. Tame is respectful. Tame is always chal ta hata. Chal ta hata, like ta hata as the ending, right? If it was a is like he and she. So it could be masculine, it could be feminine, it could be respectful. We have three different choices. So the best way to really wrap our head around this is to practice it. So let's just jump right into practice. So I have I only have four different examples for today. So we're gonna look at these four here. Was or were playing, was or were working, was or were studying, was or were cooking. We're gonna move working last, actually. Here we go. Perfect. So I'll help you with the first one, and then you do the rest. So the verb is ramvu, which is to play. Okay, ramvu. So if it's I was playing, it could be hu. So step one, we drop the vu, right? And then we're going to add our endings. So we have possible endings. So hu ram to hato, if it was male. So I'm a man. So hu ram to hato. If I were a female, hu ram ti hati. If I were, well, there's only two options there. If it was tu, it could be ram to hato if it was a male. Tu ram ti hati if it was a female. If it was he or she, e ram to hato if it's a male, right? E ram ti hati if it's female. E ram ta hata if I'm showing respect to the person, if they're older than me, if I'm trying to be very polite, right? So ta hata is for polite. If it's we have they next. If it's they, e loko, only one option here. Ram ta hata. Ram ta hata is for plural. Or if we look at last one here, ame apne ram ta hata. Again, only one option because ame apne is plural. There's more than one person, right? So these are all the different options for like someone was playing, right? So if we just unhighlight these. So masculine, all the masculines are ram to hato, all the feminines are ram ti hati, all the plurals are, sorry, all the formals are ram ta hata, all the plurals are also ram ta hata. So let me give you the verbs here. I'll delete this to create some space. I highly recommend you take notes though, like write these down for sure, take some notes. Let's just delete these to create space. Let's make this black again. Okay. I'll give you the verbs for these. So studying is bhanavu. Bhanavu. Cooking, randvu. Working, kam karvu. Okay. Here's your verbs. I want you to try and write out the masculine, the feminine. We can do playing as well. Ramvu, ramvu. There we go. Masculine, feminine, plural, formal. Masculine, yes. Masculine, feminine, plural, formal for all four of these verbs here. Okay, so pause the video, give that a try, then I'll show the answer key in a moment. Okay, let's look at the answer key together. So this should be pretty straightforward. I'll read them to you, but I don't really need to explain, I think. So I'll just read them to you. Was or were playing, masculine, ramto hato, feminine, ramti hati, formal, ramta hata, plural, also ramta hata. If you're studying, masculine, bhanato hato, feminine, bhanati hati, formal, bhanata hata, plural, bhanata hata. Cooking, masculine, ranto hato, feminine, ranti hati, formal, ranta hata, plural, also ranta hata. For working, काम करतो હતો, masculine. Feminine, काम करती हती. Plural, formal, काम करता हता. And plural, काम करता हता. Okay? Now, we're going to do a little bit more here, but we're going to point out something very important. So let me block these out first. Okay. So the imperfect past tense, as we've talked about a second ago, it's all these was or were doing, ongoing actions. That's only a half truth. The imperfect past tense is used for 4 different things, right? Now, this is more for people who already have at least a basic grasp of the Gujarati language. If you really don't and you can't really have conversations, you're really, really beginner, you can kind of stop watching in a way and just stick with this for the time being. This is going to get you very, very far. You can probably get to an intermediate level without really worrying about too much more. Okay. But if you do have a basic grasp, we can go a little deeper. The imperfect past tense is used to express 4 things: was or were doing, used to do, would do, and then did every da 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 da. Okay. So let's look at an example like huram to hato, right? This sentence could mean I was playing or I used to play. If we add a time word like roj, I played every day, for example, right? Now it could mean so hu roj ram to hato. So we have literally add roj, right? Hu roj. If we add that in, now it could mean I was playing every day. It could mean I used to play every day. It could mean I would play every day. It could be I played every day. All 4 of those are acceptable. Okay. So one sentence, 4 possible meanings. So Gujarati, along with many other languages, these 4 things can all be expressed with with one single sentence. And I will say that this concept of like one sentence having 4 possible meanings, if English, for example, is your first language, that is a very complex thing to wrap your head around. It's like, what? Huram tohato could mean I was playing, I used to play, I would play, I played. Like, what? How could that? Hence why I said, if you are like really beginner, for the time being, just worry about one of the 4 meanings. Just worry about I was playing, I was eating, I was drinking. And that's going to take you very, very far. The rest of them you kind of leave aside and it's fine, right? And I'll tell you some stories. Like in French and Spanish, for example, this concept exists. And most of the time for French and Spanish learners and Gujarati learners as well, it takes every single person at least a few months at the intermediate level before that like really clicks. I'll give you one more example. If we look at like Ukrainian, I'm learning Ukrainian. Ukrainian kind of has a similar concept as well. They have an extra little twist, which we don't need to get into, but there's kind of an extra twist in Ukrainian, but very similar concept. And I got to tell you, like me in Ukrainian, it took me, I'm not even intermediate, but like it just took me, it took me like a good, even though I was familiar with this concept already in like 3 other languages, Gujarati, French, Spanish, still in Ukrainian, before my head finally grasped it, it took me like a year. So it's not something to be discouraged about. It's not something to be discouraged about. It's just something to be aware of that if it takes a little bit of a long time, if it feels like it's not clicking, it's super normal. It just comes with time, and eventually one day it just clicks. Okay, last thing on this tense here. Here we go. 3 final notes. So you are allowed to drop hato, hati, hata. You're allowed to drop that in this verb tense. So if we pop back over here, right? Like if we look at, like, let me stop my screen share. Like I was walking, hu chalto hato, for example. I could very well say hu chalto. I'm allowed to drop the hato. Hu chalto, hu karto, hu pito. I used to drink, right? The only thing that's worth knowing, at least in I don't know, like a standard dialect of Gujarati, like something like that, if you do that, this meaning is no longer possible. So if I said ramto, and I delete that, now there's 3 possible meanings. I used to play, I would play, or I play. Like daroj ramto, roj ramto. I used to play every day, I would play every day, I played every day. I was playing every day with roj ramto. If I drop the hato, that's not possible anymore. Okay. Again, that's more of an advanced concept. It's not for beginners, but we may, if you have that level, that's worth knowing. Um, Now, hato and hata, hato, hati, hata, most of the time people, they actually drop the ha. So if we just look at these again, so like ramto hato is usually pronounced ramtoto. Ramti hati is pronounced ramtiti. Ramta hata is pronounced ramtata. Bhanto hato pronounced bhantoto. Bhanati hati pronounced bhanatiti. Right? We drop that ha sound. We drop this ha. That goes away. Right? Ramtoto, ramtiti, bhanatoto, bhanatiti, bhanatata, rantoto, rantiti, rantata, right? So, okay, there we go. And lastly, it is to some degree rare. It's not like ridiculously rare, but maybe a little bit rare. You could have a neutral conjugation as well. So not just feminine, masculine, or neuter, or sorry, masculine, feminine, or plural. And if that were to happen, it'd be ramtutu. So I'll give you one example. Let's say a puppy we're playing. A puppy is my go-to example for this. The word for puppy is galuriu. Galuriu is a neutral noun in Gujarati. And so if a puppy were playing, galuriu ramtutu, ramtu hatu. Okay. Or if I don't know, like if there's like a lot of animals, some certain animals are actually neutral conjugations, like they're neutral as not all animals are neutral, but many, like kutro is masculine. So kutro, you just use a masculine conjugation, but there are definitely animals that are neutral. And so for those animals, for example, we might have a tu hatu conjugation. Now, the vast majority of the time, though, especially I know the audience of this channel is mostly beginner, mostly anyway. And so it's a small audience. I kind of know, roughly speaking, the level. So anyway, but uh at the beginner level, you're probably going to be using hato, hati, hata, like masculine, feminine, plural. That's probably what you're going to be using. The tu hatus are not going to happen all that frequently. So it's not something to worry too much about. So that kind of wraps up this video here. If you have any questions, you're always welcome to reach out. I'll put my email on the screen here. Just go to azrinthelanguagenerd.com/contact and you can find my email there. There's a form, just fill it out, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. If you do want to get information about any private lessons, that's also the place to go. Just email me from there. And also my social media. Let me show you the page. Bear with me here. If you're tired of watching, you can just close it, but let's pop over here. I'll show you. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go to the contact page. Okay, here we go. Looks like this. So you can email me. There's my blog, my podcast, Instagram, Facebook, Meetup. I actually have a language learning podcast as a whole. Like this is the Gujarati podcast, but I have like the language learning podcast, a general one. So everything's kind of here. YouTube, I have like a general language learning YouTube. It's not all that popular, quote unquote, but it does exist. LinkedIn, Twitter. So everything's kind of here, and you're welcome to look at whatever interests you. So, okay, have a good day. See you in the next episode. Outro. Bye.